Good morning, students. Let us continue with the next topic of chapter number 13, Organisms and Populations. We have to study population attributes today. A subtopic of population. In nature, we rarely find isolated single individuals of any species. Majority of them live in group in a well-defined geographical area, share or compete for similar resources, potentially interbreed and thus constitute a population. Although the term interbreeding implies sexual reproduction, a group of individuals resulting from even asexual reproduction is also generally considered as a population for the purpose of ecological studies. All the cormorants in a wetland, rat in an abundant dwelling, teakwood trees in a forest track, bacteria in a culture plate, and lotus plant in a pond are some examples of population. Cormorants are a kind of birds. In a pond, if there were 20 lotus plants last year, through reproduction 8 new plants are added. Taking the current population to 28, we calculate the birth rate as 8 upon 20, that is 0.4 offspring per lotus per year. If 4 individuals in a laboratory population of 40 fruit flies died during a specified time interval, say a week, the death rate of the population during that is 4 upon 40.1 individuals per fruit fly per week. Another attribute characteristic of a population in a sex ratio, an individual is either a male or a female. But a population has a sex ratio. Example, 60% of the population are female and 40% are male. That means 60 in 100 are females and 40 in 100 are males. A population at any given time is composed of individuals of different ages. If the age distribution, that is percent individual of a given age group or age, is plotted for the population, the resulting structure is called an age pyramid. For human population, the age pyramid generally show age distribution of males and females in a diagram. The shape of the pyramid reflects the growth status of the population, whether it is growing, stable, or declining. For example, lowermost is the pre-reproductive stage phase, second is the reproductive phase, and third is the post-reproductive phase. In a expanding population, pre-reproductive is more than post-reproductive, while in a stable population, it increases very slowly. While in the declining, pre-reproductive is very less and post-reproductive is less. Reproductive is at the medium level. The size of the population tells us a lot about its status in the habitat. Whatever ecological processes we wish to investigate in a population, be it the outcome of the competition with another species, the impact of a predator, or the effect of the pesticide application, we always evaluate them in terms of any change in the population size. The size in nature could be as low as less than 10. For example, Siberian cranes at Bharatpur wetlands in any year, or go into millions, that is Chlamydomonas in a pond. Population size, technically called population density, designated as n, need not necessarily be measured in a numbers only, although total number is generally the most appropriate measure of population density. It is, in some cases, either meaningless or difficult to determine. In an area, if there are 200 carrot grass, that is Parthenium hysteroporus plants, but only a single huge banyan tree with a large canopy, stating that the population density of banyan is low relative to that of carrot grass, amounts to underestimating the enormous role of the banyan in that community. In such cases, the percent cover or biomass is more meaningful measure of the population size. Total number is again not an easily adaptable measure if a population is huge, and counting it is impossible or very time consuming. If we have a dense laboratory culture of bacteria in a petri dish, what is best measure to report its density? Sometimes, for certain ecological investigations, there is no need to know the absolute population densities. Relative densities serve the purpose equally well. For instance, the number of fish caught per trap is good enough to measure of its total population density in a lake. We are mostly obliged to estimate population sizes indirectly without actually counting them or seeing them. The tiger census in our national parks and tiger reserves is often based on pug marks and fecal pallets. So, what we have to understand or what we have to study is that population density is not the measure of the number of the quantity. It is measured by counting the various other factors so that it will be judicial for that particular community to estimate its population density. Next factor is population growth. The size of the population for any species is not a static parameter. It keeps changing with time depending on various factors including food availability, predation pressure, and adverse weather. In fact, it is these changes in population density that give us some idea of what is happening to the population, whether it is flourishing or declining. Wherever might be the ultimate reason, the density of a population in a given habitat during a given period fluctuates due to changes in four basic processes, two of which, natality and immigration, contribute to an increase in population density, and two, mortality and emigration, leads to the decrease of the population density in that particular community. So, two are plus and two are minus. First is natality. It refers to the number of births during a given period in a population that are added to the initial density. Addition is done. Mortality, it is the number of deaths in the population during a given period, so it will be minus. Immigration is the number of individuals of same species that have to come to the habitat from elsewhere during the type of period under consideration, will be addition. Emigration is the number of population who left the habitat and gone elsewhere during the time period under the time that is under consideration. So it will be again subtracted. So two factors are here which add the population density and two are here that subtracts the population density. So if n is the population density at time t, then its density at time t plus 1 is n at t plus 1 will be n at t plus, in a big bracket, both added factors are b plus I, that is birth rate plus immigration minus death rate plus emigration. We can see from the above equation that population density will increase if the number of birth plus the number of immigration is more than the number of death plus number of emigrants. Under normal condition, birth and death are most important factors influencing the population density. The other two factors assume importance only under special conditions. For instance, if a new habitat is just being colonized, अभी developing start हुआ है, then immigration may contribute more significantly to the population growth than the birth rate. Here is a figure representing that how immigration is added, natality is added, and emigration and mortality are subtracted from the population density n. Here, symbol for natality, that is birth rate, is B, immigration is I, mortality is D, and emigration is E. So we have to add B plus I and we have to subtract D plus E from B plus I in order to get n at any time.